listeners and viewers, welcome back to another week of Deducation, where we are going to talk about scary movies because we're teachers and our life isn't scary enough to surround ourselves with fictional horror. I'm one of your hosts, Mike.
And I'm Courtney.
And we're here at episode 12. Can you believe it? 12 already. We've been doing this for like 3 months.
That's
episode
crazy.
12. And like we've talked all this month, this week we are covering another Christmas horror film. Courtney, what movie are we talking about this week?
Anna and the Apocalypse.
Anna and the Apocalypse. A fairly recent movie, 2017.
2017.
Yep. British movie. British Christmas movie. British zombie movie. British Christmas zombie musical. Have you ever seen a British Christmas zombie musical before?
I have not. I've never even seen a British musical.
Yeah. Well, I've seen this movie before, but it is also my first British British Christmas zombie musical as well. And so, yeah, we've got a fun little treat for you. Definitely, like a lot of the last couple weeks, it's not a scary movie. You said last week this is your first zombie movie. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Of course,
I have not jumped on the bandwagon of Walking is Dead or The Walking Dead. I've not jumped on any of those. I've just never been a zombie person.
Well, there's a lot of zombie movies out there, and this is one of them. But there are others that are far scarier. There are others, honestly, that are far gorier. And so, but this is just a nice little Christmas treat.
Yes.
Anna and the Apocalypse. Again, I told you last week it was a musical, and I think that was the hook. That hooked you. Like, ooh, I love musicals.
They're
ahead.
my favorite. They're one of like my favorite things to watch. You know how like every TV show has like a musical?
It seems to,
kind of like episode, like there's always one. Some people dread that, and I think they're corny. Sometimes I don't like them, but 99% of the time I'm like, oh yes, this is the musical episode.
So did this movie excite you then?
I loved it.
Okay, good. That's good. That's fine. I was hoping you would.
I watched it twice this week.
Oh. That warms. It really does. It warms my heart that I feel like, because of course I've talked before that like I'll log into Plex and I can tell what is being watched and how far it is or whatever. And I noticed Anna and the Apocalypse was on earlier this week, and then I noticed it was on again, and I was like, oh, Courtney must be finishing the movie. But no, you were watching it again. Oh, that does. That makes me happy that we found a movie that you're like, I'm going to watch this movie a lot. So that's awesome. So we should probably get into a little bit about the plot before we break down what being an educator in this world would be. And now this takes place in a school.
Yes.
And so I feel finally we get back after 3 weeks at least of not really talking about school, that we get back to that here. And so, yeah, it takes place in Scotland, but it is a British movie, which all that area over there is close enough anyway. Not to disenfranchise our British or Scottish listeners, but we are dumb Americans and therefore don't understand the geographical nature of the United Kingdom. So apologies there if you're listening, or future listeners when this podcast really blows up and we're taking the world by storm. We don't want to lose our Scottish or British listeners. We know the difference between the two countries. We just don't know enough about them to not group them together. That's me. You may be like, excuse me, I'm an expert on Scottish history.
No.
We're in Scotland and we're at a school. School is, I guess, about done, despite the fact that it's Christmas.
Yeah, they must be on some weird trimesters or something.
Yeah, it must be, because Anna, our main character, she's about to finish school. And it's high school, and her dad works at the school, and she's got different plans than what her dad wants for her.
Yeah, she does not want to attend a uni as they call it.
Right, yeah.
Which I think is so cute.
It is.
She wants to travel, which more power to her, because that's awesome. I wish I kind of would have done that. It's awesome. But Dad is not happy about it because he wants her to go to a university.
Right. Yeah, because he's a widower, and again, like, his career is like janitor at the school.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think there's a little bit of, I don't want you to end up how I did.
Yes.
But again, she's her own person, and this is what she wants to do. She just wants to put it off a year. It's not like she's vetoing university at all.
Exactly.
She's just like, I just don't.
Taking a break.
Just want to take a break. To travel again. You know, not take a break to go like get a job, because unfortunately there are a lot of kids that are like, I'm just going to take a break, and then they never get back to it because they start making money and they realize this is nice.
Yeah.
And we also meet Anna's friends. John is her best friend who secretly is in love with her, and it's not really a secret. I don't know how. I mean, even Anna lets on later that she's always known.
Yes.
Because John is not real adept at keeping his emotions locked up.
No.
So that's John's struggle. You know, all of our main teen characters here have their struggles. John struggles. Her friend Chris. Chris, is he the...
He's a filmmaker.
He's the filmmaker.
Yep, and he is like not doing well in a class, something for a film, because the teacher, not the coach, she wants him to like produce something more real. Right.
Instead of just accepting his voice through his work, she wants it to fit into her nice little rubric. We've got Steph, who is a transfer student. Is she the gay one?
Yes,
she the blonde.
Yep.
I lose their names a lot. I watched this again earlier this week, but I will admit I'm not Anna. I remember Anna. She's the titular character, but the rest of them were like, I just don't remember their names.
Yeah.
But I remember their people, their physical person. I didn't get them confused. Their names really weren't important.
No.
And so Steph, she's a transfer student, and I'd say she's probably carrying the heaviest weight of all of them.
Yes.
I really felt bad for Steph in this, because I mean, not only is she, is she out as a lesbian?
Yeah, because she has a girlfriend.
Okay. And, so she struggles with like people's acceptance of that.
Yes, and then her parents are just kind of like lowlifes, it sounds like, because it's like they just she makes that comment of them dropping her and just going because she's different.
Yeah.
And then the principal hates her, which
Mr. Savage, the vice principal. He's not even the head principal. He's just the jerk principal.
He's about to be the main principal.
Yeah, he's a jerk.
He is, and she's like wanting to do reports. She is heading out to the soup kitchen or homeless something, and she volunteers with that. And Mr. Savage is like trying to shut her down.
Right. It's like she's all about like social justice and what's right for the people, and like you said, Mr. Savage is just he's savage. Like they named him that on purpose. We have one more character, Nick, who he and Anna had a fling at one point, and he's just being a pompous jerk.
Yes.
Like that's really it. I guess we've got Chris's girlfriend, Lisa.
Lisa, you can't forget Lisa.
No, I liked Lisa's character.
I do too.
I talked last week when we talked about musicals a little bit that the classic stuff I'm fine with, and I say classic, it's your Willy Wonka, your Wizard of Oz. You know, I'm fine with that stuff. Even Rocky Horror Picture Show. You know, just whatever. It's there. It was there before me or whatever. Yes. And I'm an old man now, so I get a little bit more crotchety, I suppose. And I am perfectly fine with musical bits in a movie. For instance, like Mean Girls was not a musical, but there was a musical bit in there, and I'm fine with that.
Yes.
And like I said to my wife while watching this, you know, like the just break out into song parts, I just felt like got in the way. of the plot, but I know those are your favorite parts. Like I said, I'm not taking anything away from this movie. I will readily admit that I'm not the target demographic for it. So I'm not going to lower the grade based on it. I'm not going to fall into like Chris's his teacher, where she's like, no, what you did was good, but this is what I wanted. No, that's not fair. Like, I'll grade it accordingly. But the parts like at the Christmas show where everybody's doing their musical parts, like, I'm fine with that music. Like, even if you want to pull away and basically make a 5-minute music video, you know, like that, because it fits. Like, you're at a Christmas show, it fits. And Lisa's performance was chock full of innuendo. It was just a lot of fun.
The entire Christmas program was like, you know, I mean, the penguins, they were hilarious.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
like,
it was good.
Like,
well, very
we
well
eat
done.
fish for the halibut, and it's like just, you know, it was so funny.
It's just, it was well written and witty and funny, and it's like, and we learned real quick, because we haven't seen a single zombie yet, that this movie it's a light-hearted horror film. It's not there to scare you. It's the blending of genres. Can we make it funny? Can we make it scary? And can we make it a musical? And yeah, they did. They mixed it, and they mixed it fairly well. Anna works at a bowling alley. And so everybody kind of breaks apart here. We got Anna and John after the Christmas show. Like, they go to the bowling alley, which has a humongous lobby. Like,
yes.
Like, I've been in a number of bowling alleys in my life, and I've never walked into one where I feel like the end, like the foyer of the bowling alley is its own like meeting place.
Yes.
There's tables and chairs and concession stand. Like, it is like full-fledged. Wow, this bowling alley is really nice. Like, even, like, you could make a day of it without actually getting to the bowling portion.
Yeah, like, usually you just walk in and boom, there's the bar where you order your food and everything. And no, this was a very large, nice bowling alley.
Yeah, it was really nice. And then, so Anna and John are at the bowling alley, and Chris and Steph, they kind of team up because Chris has got the filmmaking portion that he's concentrating on, and Steph has that reporter.
Yes.
So they kind of joined forces here.
And they went to the homeless shelter.
Right.
To film the story.
Yeah.
And Chris promised Lisa that he would be back for her little Santa show.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of like Mr. Savage. He is not having this song.
No.
not having it at all. And so that's when he like goes down to like talk to her, shut it off, something, and this is where we're first introduced to the zombies.
Yeah, because Savage is like behind the scenes somewhere.
Yeah,
and he hears like a pounding at the door, and at first he just thinks somebody's messing around, but we don't see the zombie. But yeah, there really was very little blur, and you'll see this a lot. The more zombie movies we watch. Nobody really comes straight out to typically explain like why the zombie outbreak is happening, but it usually is covered in like background noise, news reports, or radio commentary. It's always like somebody's playing it somewhere, and this movie did it too. Like it was on the radio.
Like the CDC, says outbreak of, and I'm just like, oh, it takes me back to COVID.
Yeah, oh yeah, but it's definitely one where like you don't have a main character talking you through the exposition. It's some little, and it's almost kind of tongue in cheek because there's been so many zombie movies that it's like this is like part of that trope. This is what they do in a zombie movie. You're going to hear about it on the radio. You're going to hear about it on TV, but nobody's actually really talking about it. Mm-hmm. They're just dealing with it, and that's what our characters walk into as well. It's
Definitely.
just a bunch of dealing with it. But yeah, so the zombie infection starts, and Anna and John they're talking about what they're gonna do, what they're gonna do after they graduate, but afterward it's like it's just fun. Like they're just living their life.
Yes.
They're typical teenage kids, tunnel vision. Nothing around what I want to focus on is important. This is all that matters. And then the next day.
Morning. This should be like an ad for some headphones or something.
Oh, yeah.
Because both of them are just singing and walking, even though John is wearing the same sweater that he wore the night before.
John wears that same sweater the entire
whole
movie. Yeah.
Like, the boy needs to shower. That's why he's not with Anna.
That's why Anna doesn't like him.
He's friend zoned.
He's
and,
funky.
He is. And I mean, she's just leaving her house, singing, enjoying life with these little earbuds in.
Oh,
Meanwhile,
noise canceling earbuds. Apparently,
the world is literally like exploding around her.
Yeah, she doesn't care though. She's got a song to sing.
Yeah, I feel like that is what people see when they walk into my classroom sometimes. It's like, I'm Anna, like singing songs, having fun. The kids are obviously chaotic because there's 21 5 and 6 year olds, but when people come in, it's like, oh my gosh.
And you're just up there like,
I'm like, hey.
Yeah. And we mentioned like Anna's doing her singing and dance and John's doing the same song and dance, and they're gonna meet up somewhere. Like they're just doing their thing. But this is not the first musical number we've come across.
No.
This is like the third. You know, there was already one just real quick character, well, not even quick, but character intro in the cafeteria where everybody's eating and then suddenly everybody breaks into song and they sing about their hardships. But it's like that's the way the movie decided to show us what each character is going through, which is creative and fun, you know, if you're the type of person that is open to accepting exposition through music.
Yes.
And so so they do their song and their dance, and they meet up at the cemetery. Like, who doesn't meet up at the cemetery?
Yeah.
It's like, it almost felt like a cemetery crossed with a playground. It wasn't, but...
Yes, but it was like just 3 steps over, there was a playground.
Yeah, everything was just right there.
You can play with your loved ones.
Yeah.
after they've gone.
After death. But I got huge vibes. I even said this to my wife when we were watching it, that you watched Glee, correct?
Yes.
Okay. That Anna reminded me a lot of the actress who, once our original cast graduated and went out into the world, and then we had, I don't remember her name, but we had the girl that was now kind of heading up the Glee Club, and her mom was the lunch lady. And she was dealing with like the eating disorders, and then she went on to star as like Supergirl or something like that. I don't remember her name. It doesn't matter, but they looked very similar. They both were better singers than they were actors, and their characters both had a single parent who worked at the school. So I feel like there may have been a little tip of the hat to that character. But so we are at this cemetery / playground when Anna and John encounter their first zombie.
Yes.
And again, it's all in fun because it's a man dressed up as a snowman, but the face of the snowman is missing and his like broken, decayed zombie face is in place. And so...
I just thought it was cute how she greeted him. Like, he fell over and she's like, I'm a first aid responder. I'm going to lift you up.
Right,
and
like the way you're supposed to. The way you're supposed to.
And she sees his face, so she just, like, slaps him in the head with a book bag. It's like, oh, honey, like, what if he wasn't a zombie and was just, like, really hurt? Like, what a great first aid responder.
You were taking the approach of how an American first aid responder would take it. No, and in countries with universal health care, it doesn't matter. You're going to get treated whether you have insurance or not. So it doesn't matter how I treat you because you're going to get treated. So once I realized that you were more of a threat, now I'm in defense mode. We'll let somebody else clean up the mess because you're going to get treated anyway. But no, Anna, with this small fight with this snowman zombie, like she just creatively like takes a seesaw, apparently a very high seesaw, and like
and sharp.
When she slams it down, of course the other end goes up and pops his head clean off. A lot of blood flowing in this zombie too, by the way, because it did the whole like fountain of blood up there. Despite the fact that when you're dead, your heart stops beating, so there really wouldn't be anything pushing that blood through.
Exactly.
But let's not nitpick.
But they're zombies, right? Like zombies, you know. Well, I mean, like, he was still living, or his face was anyways,
well,
I guess.
Well, by definition, zombies are dead.
Okay, and they're like resurrected.
They are reanimated dead people.
Okay.
So everything about them is dead. Their brain doesn't work, their heart doesn't work, and that's the mystique of it is, we don't know what's reanimated these corpses. It's not like we're like in a vampire movie or like in the vampire lore, like there's a set of rules that apply to all vampires and werewolves or whatever. Zombies are almost like that wild card of like, why do you want your zombies to work?
Yeah.
Do you want it to be because of this toxic gas? Do you want it to be electricity? Do you want it to be a magical spell? Like, it could be anything, and they never talk about what it is here. But the fact that their blood is still pumping, but whatever. Again, don't let me be too nitpicky. So we cut back to school because that's where the kids are headed.
Yes.
They finally get back to school. There's a bunch of adults there.
And they're just like going ham because they had talked about like, oh, I'm sure our parents will know what to do.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to where like they're all just like digging through the water bottles. And
right. Yeah. And so nobody knows what to do. We find out Chris's grandmother's a character. Of course, Mr. Savage is like the only educator there.
Yes.
Tony and Lisa are hiding out. There's an argument on whether or not we should let people in, where Mr. Savage is absolutely not, and Tony is like, of course we should let if we know they're alive, we should let them in. But again, Mr. Savage is Mr. Savage.
Yes.
And so, Savage decides nobody gets to come in. And so Anna and John can't get into the school, so they instead go to the bowling alley because that's, it's not safe to go home either. So they go to the bowling alley, and this is where we meet up with
Steph and Chris.
Yeah.
Yep, and they're hiding out because
they're also hiding out.
They, for some reason, know that zombies are out there, even though, it hasn't become like a huge thing yet.
She's a reporter.
True. So and they knew that Justin Bieber was a zombie. So
that's true. Yeah, but not Tay-Tay.
Yeah, not Tay-Tay.
Taylor Swift, thankfully, is not a zombie. And they really,
goodness.
Like, these four, like, they have a decent time together.
Yeah.
Like, they're playing in the ball pit, and they're just, they're not, like, amusing themselves, but they feel safe.
Yeah, they're just, having a good time, enjoying.
Steph finds out that the army is going to come to the school, so that they need to get over to the school because that's going to be the safe zone.
Yeah.
And so then they find the cleaning lady.
Yeah, they're in the bathroom like having a heart-to-heart or something, and they hear this little like...
Because they're teens.
And they open up the bathroom stall, which I would not do it in an apocalypse.
No.
And there's the cleaner, just zombified, sitting on the toilet.
To be fair, I don't know if I would open the bathroom stall in a bowling alley, even if it wasn't the apocalypse. If somebody was in there groaning, I'm not opening the stall.
I don't get paid to clean it, so I'm not opening it.
Right.
And then the zombie, bachelor party from earlier.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They bust through the wall. There's a huge fight with them. We get a zombie head in the ball return, which is always a fun little gag.
Thankfully, that head was the same size as a bowling ball.
There were lots of fun little tricks that they did here.
Just creative stuff.
Yes. Yeah. And then they had all fallen asleep in the zombie pit. They wake up the next morning to come to find out that the army, they're all zombies. There is no army anymore.
Right. The army didn't make it. Which, it's terrifying because, if you think about it on a base level, especially, here in America, regardless of what you feel about, the amount of money that our government spends on defense, we still trust and hope that our armed forces are there for us.
Yes.
Okay, even, if things get so bad that the police can't handle it, call in the National Guard, call in, you know, like, we've got them there for that. And that's what the plan was. And it's like, what do you do when your last line of defense loses?
It's gone.
You know, and so, yeah, they wake up, like you said, and realize that there's no evacuation coming. So now they're out. They got to get to their loved ones, right?
And their plan, I don't remember whose plan this was, but they get this like inflatable pool that all these balls were in. I think it was Chris's, because he's like holding the ball. He's like, I have an amazing idea.
Right.
And so they're like crawling under this pool.
It's a terrible idea. Terrible.
I mean, it was great until they got to that group of old people, and
that sat down on top of it. Like, it'll work because zombies are mindless and they're not going to investigate. But if they see you, they're after you, and that's unfortunately what happened. Yeah,
and the old grandma, she sat down, and that was kind of humorous too. She's like, she's peeing on me.
Oh, that was gross. And again, like, don't let me be nitpicky. Don't let me be nitpicky. All right. And we meet, and we think they're just about, because really they're in a moment of peril. Like, zombies have discovered them. They've got nowhere to turn. They're trapped underneath this thing. And then Nick shows up.
Yes.
Nick, which there's zero reason really to like Nick at all.
Yeah.
But the dude's got some pipes.
He does.
He's a very good singer.
Yes.
And he's really enjoying all of this apocalyptic nastiness.
Yeah, like, so, he practiced this.
Yeah, and so he takes his bulliness, because he's a bully. He and his friends are bullies. But they take that level of violence and aggression and redirect it towards the zombies, which now I guess somehow turns them into good guys in a way, because they're able to do something that the army couldn't do.
And they've fought off this entire horde of zombies.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and they're going through...
While singing.
Yes. And this is where, like, Anna really gives John kind of the shutdown also. Mm-hmm. Because she's like, you're my best friend.
Oh, yeah. She keeps repeating that.
Meanwhile, like, all of this is happening, and John's, like, spilling his feelings, and he wants to travel. And, Anna is like, no, you're my best friend.
And the first time she says it, you know, it was like, like, you almost feel like they're, like, you're my best friend, like, we're meant to be. And then she just, like, you're no. Like,
but this
friend.
also made me kind of sad, though, for later, because he was her best friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, and I'm sure that's hard. I've often wondered, like, in movies, you see enough of them, of course, and you get people that, like, you've got the story where a man, like, proposes marriage to a woman, and she says no. And then, like, especially in the movies, then they always, like, they end up breaking up. Mm-hmm. And I've never understood that. Because clearly your relationship is strong enough that you want to be with this person forever. Mm-hmm. And she's giving you the message that, because she's still in a relationship with you. So it's always kind of driven me nuts when, you know, like, the relationship dissolves after a no. It's like, she never said she didn't want to be with you. She just doesn't want to get married, especially right now. And if she has her reasons, like, that, there's no reason to end a relationship. And that's kind of how I felt with Anna and John. They're not, I mean, they're best friends. And yes, he wants more than that, and she doesn't, but that doesn't diminish your friendship.
Yeah.
I understand it might be a little awkward, but at the same time, it's not like Anna wasn't aware. Mm-hmm. So it's like she was aware of his feelings and still maintained. So if anything, you would almost think that this conversation would strengthen their friendship, because she's rectified, like, I know your feelings are more. I've been aware of it for a while, but it's not going to happen. To where now he can work on compartmentalize because who knows, there may be another girl that's interested in him that he's been rejecting because, and now he's like, oh, and now granted, I'm sure it's different when you're in the moment, but I'm almost thinking there should have been a little bit of relief of like, okay, I've got some closure now.
Yes.
And we can move forward. But Anna wants to travel. And clearly not John.
Next scene cuts us through a Christmas tree village. They're ambushed by zombies. And they kill all of Nick's friends.
Yes.
Which is unfortunate because they've been like the zombie slayers this whole time.
They were like Nick's little army.
Ugh. So once they escape, John gets bitten.
He does, right in the arm.
And he did it, well, they were joking around, but it's like he made sure that Anna got to safety and then sacrificed himself.
Right.
And it's like, man, he does love her.
He does. And, you know, I'm not going to disagree. I mean, he clearly was like, I'm willing, like, this is how much I care for you.
Yeah.
And if you don't reciprocate it, that isn't gonna reduce my feelings.
Yeah. He's got nothing to lose right now because it is. I mean,
he's laid it all out there. Yeah. So, but yeah, he did. He got bitten, and instead of trying the whole "let's get you out of here and prolong your life as long as we can," he just no. This is the end for me. Yep. I've had this sweater on for 2 days now, 3 days actually.
I haven't bathed.
Right. I've had the sweater on for the last 72 hours. It's time. It's time. I need to die in this sweater. And he does. He does. They finally, the survivors, of course, we're looking at Chris and Nick and Anna. Yes. They reach the school, finally. And Savage is still just out for control. Like, that's all this man wants. He is not the type of teacher that moved up to administration to better the school. He did it because he craves power.
Yes, and that is like the song that he sings, like, this is my time, something like that, like whatever. I mean, it is very obvious, like, the guy doesn't love education. No. He doesn't care about the kids, and that was obvious from the beginning. Right. Like, he's here for the big paycheck and just to control everyone.
And he's a terrible singer.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, terrible.
Yeah, he's got that, like, gruff kind of, like...
It's like, there was really nothing about his musical number that was like, I could see where this would work. No, it just... Everybody else was a singer with some acting talent. Yes. You were an actor who, like, well, we got to give him a song. Yep. So, there you go.
And he has let the zombies in now.
Yep.
Into the school for whatever reason.
Just because nobody wanted him to, and he wanted to show he's still in control. I got this.
And Anna and Nick are searching for her dad, Tony.
Right.
And Steph and Chris are searching for Steph's keys that Mr. Savage.
And his grandma.
Lisa.
Yeah, he's got his girlfriend and his grandma around too. And they're looking again because the only person who has a car is Steph. But Savage took her keys, so if they could get her car, then they could get away. And so that's the plan. Then we get this Anna and Nick in the cafeteria or something by themselves scene.
Yes.
Where basically, again, because they're teens, despite the fact that we're dealing with an apocalypse and people that we know are dead, we still should talk about something.
Yes.
So they have their, I won't call it a heart-to-heart, but...
Nick shows his softer side here.
Yes, because Anna's
he has a heart.
Yeah, because Anna has always accused him of, you only look out for yourself. Like, you are selfish, you only care about you, that's why this never happened. And Nick's just like, basically, no, I just don't promote all that stuff.
Yeah.
Talks about how when his dad was bitten, his dad asked Nick to kill him so he wouldn't turn, and then he did. Like,
yeah, I don't know if I could do that.
It would be tough.
No,
but I mean, Nick was like, I did it because it was what he wanted, and so now that he's displayed so coincidentally that he's displayed he has a heart, he now has a chance to do something for someone other than himself. Yes. So zombies break in. Well, of course, we know that he's capable. So he takes it upon himself to distract the zombies so that Anna could go find her dad. Meanwhile,
Chris has found Lisa.
Yeah.
And his grandmother has died of a heart attack.
Right.
Unfortunately. But they have gotten into Mr. Savage's office. Mm-hmm. And they've realized that these zombies are like distracted by the TV. So they're turning on this TV and they're like crawling on the floor to get across there.
Yeah, because Chris has been taking all this video footage as the filmmaker portion of him. And somehow his camera was hooked up to the television and it was just playing his footage. So the zombies they're attracted to the people on TV. Okay. But that's enough of a diversion.
Yeah.
Well, almost enough of a diversion.
Until the camera dies.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Chris and Lisa have this, like, magical PDA moment where they're just, like, making out because they had both been bitten.
Yeah. They realize.
And so now we only have 3 survivors. Mm-hmm.
Steph, Nick, and Anna.
Yeah.
Steph gets away, not before she stops amongst all the zombies and waves at them, but...
Yeah. So now we're moving into the auditorium where Anna finds her dad, and he's tied up in a chair because Savage is, like, trying to lure the zombies into him. And she gets on there, she saves her dad, and Tony, or the Star, actually, like, as Savage tries to take down Tony, Anna hits the Star, boom, there goes Savage right into a pile of zombies.
Yeah, he like stage dives into a mosh pit of zombies.
And this is where we find out Anna really had a hard go this movie. Like, she lost her best friend, and now she finds out that her dad had been bitten.
And only like a couple hours later.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. Like, it's all the same day.
Like,
well, that John died.
Yes. It's so sad. Like, she was hit after hit. She says goodbye, and they head out to leave the school. And this is just kind of where the movie wraps up. Steph saves them.
Yeah, they think they're about to die because they're being closed in on. Yeah, Nick and Anna are. They're being closed in on every angle. Just walking though, the zombies never run in this movie, and Anna and Nick appear to be in decent shape.
Yes.
I've never tried to sing a full song while walking through town and dancing, but I'm sure it takes some kind of cardio.
Yeah.
Anna, we've seen do that. So they, of course, make no effort to run from the zombies to save themselves. But like you said, Steph, who had found her keys, comes pulling up to save them, and they get to go travel like Anna's always wanted. So we're going to leave our town of Little Haven, and we're going to go travel before we go to university next year.
And that's the movie.
That is the movie.
It does end with a little gory Santa face popping up.
Yeah, just real. We got to try to get one jump scare in. So, did it work? Did it startle you?
It did not.
Yeah, me either. So, let's grade this thing.
Okay, so like I said, I watched it twice. I love musicals. Almost all of them had wonderful voices, and I think that's why I love them, because I'm terrible at singing. So I just love hearing people sing.
I'm not.
Are you a good singer?
Oh my gosh, I'm beyond good.
Seriously?
No, not at all.
Okay, I was going to say, wait, stop.
No.
I did not know that about you.
Well, and it's because I just made it up. That's why you didn't know it. I've never been in a contest to determine if I'm good or not, but my self-assessment is no.
Yeah, okay.
No. I can carry a tune. It may not. I don't know. No, I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, I can't even carry a tune. Yeah. I'm gonna give it an A-.
No, that's it. I expected higher.
And I think I'm not gonna give it higher because it lacked like the suspense part of a horror movie for me. but I loved, like, the gore was pretty, like, the zombies, they looked good. Whoever did the makeup, I thought that they looked good.
Yeah.
So the gore was there for me. It was the singing.
Right. No, that's fair.
An A-, just because, like, there was no suspense at all.
No. Fair enough. I'm going to give it a B.
Okay.
And I'm going to give it a B, not because it's not in my demographic, which I'm fine with that. I'm not one to turn my nose up at something that's not for me. There is a market for a movie like this, and it's just not pointed at me, which is fine. For the same reason that My Little Pony's not my thing. But I give it a B because everything was slightly above average, but not great.
Yeah.
Like I said, you did zombies, but they weren't scary. You had actors, but they weren't great actors. There was enough where, like, the songs took you out of the story, I just felt like they didn't marry the two together.
Yes.
And I'm gonna use Willy Wonka and Wizard of Oz as examples because, one, they're timeless classics, but two, each song, like, fell into the story. When you think back of, when Dorothy's meeting, Scarecrow, Tin Man, and Cowardly Lion, like, they are on their way, they run into them, there's a quick song, then they're on their way. It's an intro to the characters, whereas I felt like, and even in Willy Wonka, when there's a song, it's in the midst of them already doing something for the plot. I feel in this, it's like, if you took all the musical numbers out of the movie and just sandwiched the movie parts together, like, and you could have two versions of the movie and they're the same movie. Like, so the music to me it was in there and it was fun and it was lighthearted, but to me, like, it didn't add anything. Mm-hmm. It was just there. And because it's like you stopped the action to do the song to then restart the action. Like the first song in particular, when they break out into song in the cafeteria, and none of the kids in the cafeteria thought that was weird.
No.
You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, if this happened for real, you guys, it's like, so clearly it took you out of the narrative. Mm-hmm. The acting wasn't great. It wasn't terrible, but I don't know who any of these people are as a movie fan. So just a B. Like, it was solid. It was fun. We've clearly saw far worse this month. But at the same time, I've seen it twice in my life. You've seen it twice in a week. It's because we're just different targets, and that's just fine. Yes. So that's mine. A- for you, B for me. Not far off.
No, it's not.
But it's fine. So this finally takes place at a school. What educational lesson, as a teacher or for kids or whatever, would you take from something like this?
Okay, so this one is, like, more for the kids, I would say, mm-hmm. because to me, this movie glorified, like, true friendship mm-hmm. over, like, being a teen romance or, like, in love
Fair enough.
Type thing. Like, I'm very good friends with a lot of my friends group from high school, and I think that it's just, like, really important to find your friends and find true friends and, like, hold on to those people because, like, life is hard, and this movie got hard for them, obviously. Mm-hmm. I mean, and they stuck together. And it's, like, even people that they didn't think that they would like, no one really liked Nick, but he ended up pulling through in the end. Like, nobody cared for Steph. She was the weird kid. But look, like, she ended up being
saving
a good
the
friend.
day.
Yeah. And, I don't know, I just really like how this movie portrayed and, like, showed, it was just, like, more about the true friendship than a lot of the other movies we watched are like,
right.
Let's get it on.
Oh, yeah. Fair enough. My lesson would be, in a similar vein, you're closer to that time than I am, but your teenage years are awful. They're terrible. And so with that, it's important to know that everything that's going on in your teenage years is new. Your body has never looked the way it does because that's new, like you're growing. And therefore you're drawing attention or giving attention to other people who are also going through the same changes. You've never probably started to have feelings for a person before. This is new. Like, so much is new that it's really hard for teens to process the fact that despite the fact they've been alive for 15, 16, 17 years, you still don't know anything.
No.
Like, you are at the upper crust of what it's like being a kid, so therefore you think you've figured it all out, but in reality, like, everything's going to clarify as you get older.
Yeah,
and so,
you know nothing.
No, you know nothing, and that's okay. And you're not going to accept that you know nothing because you don't realize yet you know nothing. You have to wait till later before you can look back and be like, oh man, I didn't know anything. But the lesson I want to take from this is not that. It's in regards to the feelings. Because these feelings are so new, I have no doubt on my mind that the feelings that John had for Anna were legitimate. Like, in his mind, I love this girl. I love everything about her. I love spending time with her, etc., etc., etc. And I have no doubt on my mind that the feelings Anna had for John were legitimate. I'm aware that he would like for this to go further, but that's not what I'm interested in. But I do love his company. And the lesson I want to say is take it easy on each other. I did not have two high school relationships total. And I'm not like in contact with either one of them, nor, I mean, why would I be? But I remember one particular instance. I'm thinking of a story, and I'm going to leave names out. But I was outside my classroom one day before prom, several years ago. And a girl came up to a boy, and this girl and this boy were not in the same social circle. And I knew she had a crush on him. And she walked up and asked him if he wanted to do something sometime. And I only know it was around prom because I thought that's what she was going to talk to him about. But she worked up the nerve and the courage to go ask him to do something. And of course, he told her no. And so, hold on just a moment. He told her no. And then she walked away, and he handled it okay. He said, I don't, it wasn't disrespectful. But on his way into my class, because I kind of witnessed the whole thing, he stopped by, and I stopped him. And I just had a conversation with him, and I just said, hey, I know that was probably awkward for you. I go, but the amount of courage it took for her to do that. I go, she's had these feelings. I go, don't disappoint me by making this a joke.
Yeah.
Because this particular kid would have.
Yeah.
I'll share with who it is after the show. He would have. He would have made every opportunity to tell his friends so they could tease her and make fun of her. And he didn't. And I think it's probably because I had a conversation. I said, you should be flattered that anybody likes you. I go, don't make it a joke just because you're not interested. And so I'm really happy with how Anna took this. She knew John was into her, but she didn't let that weird her out because she still knew John had enough respect for her that he wasn't going to overstep his boundaries. Unlike Nick, who took advantage of a situation, she allowed it to happen. But I don't think I could see Nick's character applying some pressure there to get what he wanted. And she trusted John was never going to do that. And this was a situation that without a zombie apocalypse, this may have been something that 10 years down the road, John and Anna end up together. Mm-hmm. Once she figures out exactly what she needs instead of what she wants, realizing all along, John's been the one for me.
Yeah.
And so take it easy on each other, teens. If you know somebody is into you, that should be flattering to you. Even if it's not necessarily in what teenage walk of life you think is like whatever demographic and clique you walk around in as a teen is likely not going to be what it. That's not how adulthood works typically.
No. No.
And so
I'm friends with and talk with more people that were in the same clique, quote unquote, that I was in school. Like, I mean, you just, because you grow up and you mature and you
realize none of that garbage matters.
None of it, no.
None of it matters. It matters then because you don't know any better.
Yes.
But once you get out and look back and you really start to, once you understand personalities and you start to dissect the people you were around and you realize, why did I even hang out with this person?
Yeah.
The only reason I hung out with them in high school is because I didn't want them to hate me.
Yeah.
So, and then you realize that it's not worth the effort.
No.
And so you find yourself changing, hopefully, because trust me, if you peak in high school, you've got to make some modifications because you are a better person than that. You have more to offer the world. Find it and make it happen. But take it easy on each other. Like, it takes a lot of courage to tell somebody you like them.
Yeah.
My previous school, I guess just a real specific personal example. In my previous school, I was not in a relationship at the time, but I was teaching, and one of the lunch ladies, she was younger. She came up to me after a few months of school and asked if I wanted to do something. And I wasn't interested, and I just let her down, I'm just not looking for anything right now, and I was very respectful about it. But even afterwards, the two hall monitors that I was doing lunch duty with were like, "Well, what'd she want?" Like, they were wanting to rag on it, and I was just like, I told her, said, "No, man," I go, "That's hard. Telling somebody you're interested is hard, especially when it's completely out of the blue and you really are unsure of what direction it's going.
Yes,
that is hard." And I'm like, no, there's no reason to tease her or make fun. No, it flattered me, even though I wasn't interested. It was still flattering.
Yes.
To be like, somebody finds me attractive. That's really cool.
Don't ruin it by being a dirtbag.
Yeah, don't be a dirtbag. So take that, kids, if you're listening. Just be nice, because you never know. You just never know. That person that is interested in you now and you're not interested, don't burn that bridge, because 10 years from now, who knows? Those stories come out all the time. Like,
they do.
We went to high school together, but we really didn't cross paths much, and then now we're married with 3 kids. And I'm like, good, because to be honest, when you're we're rambling on about this. When you're a teenage kid and you know nothing about anything, but you think you know everything about everything, newsflash, it's impossible to know enough about anybody in your class.
Yes.
Even a small school like we teach in, where you might have 40 kids in your class, it's impossible to know anything about any of them. And so you're purely going off of looks or social circles.
And looks fade.
Yeah, and if you're making your baseline decision based on whether she's cool or he's cool and what they look like, oh, you're missing out.
You're doomed.
Missing out. So, all right. Well, that was fun. That was nice. I'm glad you liked it. A little change of pace. It was good. It felt good to get back to lessons. Because I don't even remember what our lesson was last week with Don't Open Till Christmas. I really
I don't either.
Don't have a clue.
Have common sense. Mine was have common sense.
Maybe that was it. Yeah, maybe that was it.
I was looking a little bit, not that this has anything really to do with the podcast, but I didn't know the producer or director of this movie, he passed away.
I did not know that.
Just shortly after the movie was produced. He had cancer. Yeah. I mean, pretty young, too, because he was born, it was said, in 1987, and he passed away in 2015.
Yeah, that is young, because I turned 8 that year.
Yeah.
So, I did not know that about it. John McPhail.
Oh. Did I look up the wrong thing then?
I don't know. The director was John McPhail.
Who was Ryan McHenry then?
Ryan McHenry. He's a screenwriter.
Okay, screenwriter, not director.
He is a Scottish film director known for the film Zombie Musical.
Oh. Oh, maybe I'm looking at the wrong... I was looking at the wrong thing then. Never mind.
Yeah, but his story, Zombie Musical, was adapted into this movie.
Okay, that's probably where I had seen it then.
And this movie was released after his death.
Okay.
So yes, he had a hand in this.
Yeah, because this movie came out in 2017, not 2014.
Yeah, right. But yeah, his notable work was Zombie Musical, a movie called Toast. Another movie that I want to see this movie just based on the title. It's called Ryan Gosling Won't Eat His Cereal. And Anna and the Apocalypse. But yeah, so yeah, you're right that he passed away before the movie was released. But he definitely had his hand in the making of it, as it's based on his previous movie. So, all right. Well, I'm going to leave this up to you. Okay. We have technically one more week until the end of the year.
Okay.
Because this movie will this episode will drop the week before Christmas, and then we have time for one more episode the week after Christmas, unless you wanted to try and knock out a couple more episodes over Christmas break.
Let's try it.
I guess my question is, how much Christmas horror do you want to watch?
Let's try it. I mean, So I'm looking at my calendar. Casey and I are going to see his family the 29th.
All right.
Through the 1st, but I can always step away for, a little while.
Of course, we get out on Tuesday.
Yes.
So, I mean, in theory, we could knock out another episode later this week.
Yeah. Because
we have another episode drop before Christmas.
Yeah,
and then we could do
nothing.
And then we could do
22nd, 23rd.
Yeah, I don't either. And so, yeah, I say let's do that. Let's get one more episode knocked out this week.
Okay.
And then we drop another episode next week, like the week after Christmas. So we got time for two more. Now, let's go ahead and discuss the two if you're fine for it.
Okay.
There's one I've been putting off for our last one. And then last week when I was going through the movies, I mentioned Krampus.
Yes.
And you mentioned that you'd been looking at that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guessing you haven't seen it.
No.
Okay. So here's my suggestion for the rest of the month. I say between now and New Year, we knock out the next episode of Krampus. Okay. And then I want to finish the month with a movie called Black Christmas.
Okay.
Okay. Black Christmas is an extremely influential movie. Black Christmas. It came out in 1974. It's been remade once. But Black Christmas is, like I said, very influential. It had a huge influence on Halloween. It had a big influence on Scream. It's a very influential horror film. It's very good. And my favorite part about this movie is it's directed by a guy named Bob Clark. Mm-hmm. Bob Clark directed A Christmas Story. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Bob Clark is a multifaceted dude. He directed a really raunchy early 80s movie called Porky's. He directed A Christmas Story. He directed Baby Geniuses in the late 90s. But he directed Black Christmas. And Black Christmas is just a fantastic horror film. Very influential. Very fun. No doubt that it's about Christmas. So that's what I've all month long. That's what I've been wanting to do last was Black Christmas. But we'll watch Krampus before that. And so, yeah, we get Krampus knocked out. But, I mean, we're talking quick turnaround.
Yeah. Which is fine because I need to wrap presents. And
there you go. You got something.
I thought about texting you earlier and just being like, hey, can you just give me the movie we're going to watch? Because I'll just watch it before this. But then I was like, nah, be patient. You can wrap presents after.
Yeah. Krampus would be Krampus is a safe movie to wrap presents to. Like, it's good. It's good. I'm not taking that away from the movie. But it's enough that like your eyes don't have to be glued to the screen the whole time.
Now I do have a question. Is Edward Scissorhands a Christmas movie? Is it just like it is?
Okay, does it take place around Christmas? Yes.
Okay.
See, I get movie snobby a little bit, and this is what Curtis and I are dealing with on our other podcast. Because this month on Let's Talk About Flicks, the monthly theme is it a Christmas movie? Where we watch a movie where Christmas has some play in it, but then we discuss whether or not that movie is a Christmas movie.
Okay.
Like, for instance...
like Die Hard?
Yeah, well, that's actually what we're covering next week, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? We watched Gremlins.
Okay.
You know, because it's like, the movie's not about Christmas. Where, like, if you watch a movie like Home Alone, yes, of course that's a Christmas movie. It's Christmas is the reason that they're there. Or if you watch, like, A Christmas Story, obviously that's about Christmas. You know, but if you're watching something like Gremlins or Die Hard, it's like, you know, and so my category definition is, if the movie can take place any other time of year and not lose the plot.
Okay.
You know, like, for me, Gremlins is a Christmas movie. Okay. Because the whole reason that movie happens is because Billy's dad is getting him something for Christmas. And there's snow everywhere, and there's a story of Santa, and it's like, Christmas is laid on thick in that movie. Whereas the next movie we watched, Lethal Weapon, it opens with a Christmas song, it ends with a Christmas song, but in my opinion, I voted no, it's not a Christmas movie. Just because everything that happened in this movie could take place any other time of year.
Yeah.
You know, like, nothing in the plot was tied to Christmas. It just happened to be late December when it all happened. And so Edward Scissorhands, yes, takes place around Christmas, but is it a Christmas movie? No.
Okay.
In my opinion, it's not. You know, yes, the holiday season has a big impact on it, but the story itself is not tied to the holiday. Have you seen Edward Scissorhands?
I have not, but
it's really good.
So I think that my phone hears what we're talking about because on TikTok, some like holiday scary movies, one of them came up, and it was Edward Scissorhands.
Oh, it's not scary either.
And it was like horror, not really scary, and it's like one you have to watch, you know, around Christmas time, and it's like,
I wouldn't even call boo to that. Edward Scissorhands is a family movie.
It is?
Oh, yeah.
I've always thought it was scary.
No, there's nothing remotely scary about it.
I've always thought that it was scary because I was going to say maybe we can... Yeah, somebody on TikTok, I think I liked it. I'll have to find it.
No. And Edward Scissorhands it's like fantastic, and, you know, it's a family movie. It's rated PG-13, but I mean, it's categorized as fantasy and romance.
Oh, wow.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I could see how somebody would be afraid of it.
Yeah.
But no. No. Like, Tim Burton directed it. You may not be familiar with Tim Burton's work, but Tim Burton also directed, or had his hands in, we should say. Maybe not directed, but he had his hands in
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Wednesday. Corpse Bride, Wednesday.
Yes,
but also he directed, like, Batman, like the 1990 or 1989's Batman. He directed Dumbo for Disney.
Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. One of my all-time favorite movies, Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
I like Frankenweenie.
Yeah, Frankenweenie. But yeah, they're in the early, like, late 80s, early 90s with Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and then Beetlejuice, Batman, Edward Scissorhands, Batman Returns, Sleepy Hollow, Planet of the Apes, Big Fish, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I mean, he's lost his touch a little bit in recent years, but I mean, everything was a home run for him at one point. But no, I would not call Edward Scissorhands a horror movie at all.
I didn't know he did Planet of the Apes. I love those movies.
Mm-hmm. It's just the first one, I think, but yeah.
Okay.
Tim Burton, very accomplished director. Very accomplished. I like Tim Burton. Yeah. But it's another one, like, you could tell when you're watching a Tim Burton movie. Like, they all kind of look very fantastic, very fantasy wise. But no, I like a Tim Burton movie. There are some that annoy me, The more he did with Johnny Depp, the more Johnny Depp got annoying. But
he did. I just
Alice
had
in Wonderland.
The Peculiar Children.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Peculiar. It always.
Yeah.
I never know if I'm saying that right, but that was a really good movie.
Yeah. So, but no, Edward Scissorhands is definitely worth a watch. But no, I wouldn't call it a horror film. But if you wanted to watch it, we could call it a horror film. I mean, come on. Anna and the Apocalypse isn't scary either.
No, it's not.
So, but no, we'll watch Krampus for next week.
Okay.
Krampus is a fun one. Yeah, Krampus came out 7 years ago. It's got some funny parts. They've got some comedic actors in it. Like Adam Scott is funny as an actor. He was in Parks and Recreation. He was also in Step Brothers. David Koechner is also funny. He played Todd Packer in The Office, as well as Champ Kind and in the 2 Anchorman movies. So those two are comedians. Mm-hmm. And then his wife in the movie's played by Toni Collette, who's just an excellent actress. But there's some funny parts to the movie, but it's definitely a horror film.
Okay.
Even though IMDb has it as a comedy, drama, fantasy, no, he eats kids, But then, Black Christmas! I'm so looking forward to Black Christmas. So Krampus first, Black Christmas next. It'll be fun because again, once we get to break, we've got time.
Yes.
That'll be a good one to wrap presents too.
Good.
So, all right, you got anything to send off before we get out of here?
No.
All right. Well, you know where to find us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Make sure you're telling your friends. Make sure you're telling your enemies. If you hate this show, just absolutely loathe it. You log in and you watch or listen to every episode because your life is so great that you need something to take you down, and you just hate us. And so you listen to us weekly just to remind yourself that there's worse people in the world. That when you thought your life was bad, you always had Mike and Courtney to listen to. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, people you hate, tell them to listen to us. If you hate us, then either way, we get listeners, and that's what we want.
That's all we need.
That's all we need. That's all we want for Christmas. Put something down in the comments if there's something you would like us to review. Once we get through Christmas month, we'll be back to our regular scheduled randomness.
Yeah.
And watching whatever. And so that'll be fun too. Let's see. Merry Christmas, everybody. There's a chance you'll hear Krampus before Christmas. But yeah, there's probably a good chance that'll happen. But if you missed that episode, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and we're sorry Scotland and Britain for getting upset with us for mixing you two up in the same bag. So, for Deducation, I'm Mike.
I'm Courtney.
And we will see you guys next week.